On today's episode of the ThriveMore podcast, I interviewed Josh York. He's the co-founder and CEO of GYMGUYZ, a personal training in-the-home concept that he has franchised over 150 locations. What you're going to hear today is an unfiltered take on business and entrepreneurship. Josh holds nothing back. He is as direct as they get. I think you'll find it motivational. I also think you're going to hear a guy who has been through it all and most importantly believes in himself and will bet the house. He literally did bet his house on himself. So if you're looking for that type of inspiration, just a no holds barred, intense guy, Josh is that guy. Enjoy. On today's episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with Josh York, and you're going to love this. From his parents' dining room to an international brand, GYMGUYZ founder and CEO Josh York is really an American dream come true. 15 years ago, Josh was sitting at his parents' dining room table, hammering out the idea that would become an international franchise called GYMGUYZ, and at a mobile in-home fitness training provider, boasting over 150 locations here across 30 states and in 3 countries. Josh believes sleep is the enemy and subscribes to a 4 to 5 hour a night rest with a 4 a.m. workout followed by a sauna and a 27-degree daily cold plunge. The guy is legit. We're talking David Goggins stuff here. His competitive nature, passion for living, and presence makes him one of the most sought-after motivational speakers today. And we are really thrilled to invite and welcome Josh to the ThriveMore podcast. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, Roger. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. My pleasure. You've got a great story. I read your book, holding up to the camera here for those of you that are watching on YouTube. I just held up Josh's book called Fuel, What It Takes to Survive as an Entrepreneur. And what I gathered from this read, and I think you're going to find from Josh today, is he is the real deal. There's no BS here. He's going to tell you how it is. And so, Josh, if you could just tell us your origin story of going from what you were doing before, sitting at your parents' dining room table and making this decision. If we could understand what was going on inside your head, that would be super cool.
Absolutely. So, I've always been into fitness. I always loved helping people, but I've always said from day one, being a personal trainer is just not scalable. You cannot scale it. You can't do it forever. And I used to always ask myself, and tell myself, I need to be making money when I'm not working. How am I going to make money when I'm not working? And for me, I was taught, you get a 9-to-5 job. I was taught, go to school, and, these people who are teaching you are people who don't make the money that you really would inspire to make. And that just is twisted it backwards. It makes no sense to me. But anyway, so, if I would have done it all over again, I would have never went to school. If I would have done it all over again, I wouldn't have listened to anybody. I would have listened to myself. But I've realized over the years and just growing and becoming, more seasoned and more skilled is that I'm just very, very smart and have skills that a lot of people don't have. And, it'd be great for a lot of people to obtain these skills, but that comes with a lot of pain and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of experience. But, I was working at this studio in Great Neck on Long Island in New York. And I left everything to go take a 9-to-5 job. I was making a good amount of money. I was making high 6 figures as a personal trainer. And I left everything to take a $35,000 job working in a marketing firm, working with probably the most negative, miserable people you would ever meet in your life. I can't even tell you. I started looking into statistics around this, and it's true. Like 85 to 90% of people drive to work every day committing spiritual suicide. They're miserable. They're unhappy. They hate their job. And I was in the thick dirt mud of all of it. And I gave up all my clients. And at one point I was like, I can't do this anymore. I got to go back into training. That's what I love to do. I always figure it out. I always do. And I started getting clients again and started building my client base. And one came in late and said, Josh, I really wish you can come to my house. I just don't have any equipment. And I was like, wow, this is like the most simplest idea. No one's ever professionalized this concept before. I'm going to do it. I got a van stocked with all necessary equipment, came up with the name GYMGUYZ. It's an acronym for Get You Motivated, Goals Uniquely Yours, Zero Excuses. And I started going out, driving up and down the expressway, servicing clients. And today we're the largest in-home, on-site, and virtual personal training company in the world. We service over 2,000 cities. We're in 31 states, 3 countries, about to add 2 more countries. And we help people to change lives. And there's not a better thing to do because it's great to make a living, but it's much better to make a difference.
I love that. I have a feeling you've said that once or twice before, just once or twice.
I
love it.
Quite a bit, my friend. Yes.
I love it. So So you're doing this, and you have this idea, and you talk about it in your book. And one of the things that's kind of comical is just the evolutions of the business. And you're very open about, like, I was carrying all this equipment in, I hadn't quite figured out how to make it ergonomic, if you will, and as you have with the franchise model, of course. So if you will, walk us through. So you start the business, you start building your own client base, but what were you learning along the way? Well, and again, you talk about a lot in your book, Fuel, but if you can share with the listeners what you were learning along the way in those first 2 years.
Yeah, I was learning that pain is the only way. The easy way doesn't pay well, and pain is the only way. I can't tell you the amount of pain I have experienced over the last 15 years, the amount of trauma, the amount of upset, the amount of people who have screwed me over, backstabbed me, the amount of people who have just done horrible, horrible things, the amount of lawsuits I've had from people coming after me. Like, here's the thing. Business and life is a game. And those who stay in it and don't stop playing are those who will win. And it's pretty crazy, but like, I've learned a lot over the last 15 years of being in business. Manifestation is as real as hell. It's real, very real. Positivity and who you hang out with is real as hell. It's very real. And, the words you speak to yourself are as real as hell and very powerful. And you need to really understand that fear is the greatest indicator that you're doing something right. You're on the right path. The problem is people are much closer to their dreams than they actually realize, but they quit. And the next day could be the day. The next day could be the day that everything changed. But, you're soft, you crumbled like a cookie, and you folded like a cheap chair, and you gave up, and trust me when I tell you, I've been in some very, very horrible situations over the years, from cash flow issues to, lawsuits to class action lawsuits. I can sit here for hours and hours. Actually, I can sit here probably for a good year telling you stories. It always works out. You never tap out. I never tap out. I'd rather die than quit. It would never happen. I am the best in the world. I'm the most mentally strongest in the world. That's what I believe. Everyone else the same way that I think. But those are some probably the most important things I learned over the years. And I learned also that the skills you learn and you develop over the years of just pain and just trial and error and figuring things out, those skills stay with you forever. And those skills cannot be bought. They can only be taught.
They can never be taken away, ever, ever, ever. You're right. You're absolutely right. So as we've talked a lot on this show about trauma and how trauma from a young age, we talk about this sweet spot of trauma, Josh, like, no trauma in your life, no hardship. How motivated are you going to be? How motivated is a person going to be to go out and get, what they're after? Too much trauma. And, you got to deal with all that first before you can ever get busy with business. It's that sweet spot of, man, I had some bad stuff happen, but now I have a chip on my shoulder. I'm going to prove to the world, and that's driven so many entrepreneurs. You don't have to read that many biographies to see that, we all have a common thread in that. How have you channeled that then to be more productive, to make more money, to change more lives with your business?
This is going to sound so crazy, but first of all, it's almost like you can't think. It's like almost like you really got to think like you're almost like it's not happening, right? That's number one. It's crazy because I used to suffer from severe anxiety when I started the business for years. For years.
Yes.
To the point I was literally throwing up every morning. I used to throw up every single morning for years. It was so difficult for me to get out and get after it because I was just suffering with just horrible anxiety. Never took any type of medication for it. I don't believe in that crap. Never spoke to anyone about it. I just believed I had to get myself right and figure it out. And really what helped that was my exercising, because movement cures everything, as I like to say. But, you have to develop a resilient mindset. I believe business is about 90% mindset, and the rest is coming down to tactical and some brains. But, the mindset is really the key because, business is easy to say, not easy to do. And I laugh when people say, oh yeah, I want to go own a business. I could just honestly, I call it the, the Josh meter. I could pull up that meter in 1 second. I could tell if they're going to make it or they're not. I just could tell within seconds. I could just tell. And honestly,
what are you looking for right there? What are you looking for right there? Probably subconsciously, but can you pull up what you're looking for?
some people might take this the wrong way, but it's the truth. So I don't, I'm sorry if people get offended, but number one, like the way someone looks and how they take care of themselves is very, very important, because people think like success is just having money. Well, listen, if you have all the money in the world and you're a fat animal and you don't take care of yourself, you're not successful. If you have all the money in the world, you're in great shape and you have horrible relationships and nobody in your family loves you, you're not successful. And obviously, pick and pull and plug and play those in any, combination you want. Like success has got to be like, in every area, right? You want to be strong in all those areas. But, well, the biggest thing for me is looking at someone and be like, all right, this person can take care of themselves. They're gritty, right? They have discipline. They can get after it. They're going to be someone strong and solid. So that's very, very important. Number one. But number two, just to kind of see like what, how they interact, who they surround themselves with, what they do on a daily basis, their personal life. You could really pick and pull a lot of different things from people by just getting into, a deep dive about that person. And that's kind of how I usually do it. And that's why I've had a lot of success with, my team. My team is the greatest in the world. And, I always call us, the dream team, because we got the greatest of the greatest. That's very important.
Because you talked about, and it's fun, you and I share a sentiment where if I could go back and do it all over again, I don't know if I'm as confident as you to say I wouldn't go to school, but I've learned more doing the work and actually being an entrepreneur, even from 25 years of corporate America. The learning curve of being an entrepreneur has 10x'd what I learned in 25 years in corporate America. And so I think, school, the information's been democratized now. We can get it. You can get it. I can get it today. It's on the internet. We can get it. So was business ownership something when you were young? Because you said you had clients, then you went to a marketing firm. Was business ownership something you were always gunning for, or was it like, this is so terrible, I'm the only thing I have to do is go over here and start my own thing?
It was a good question, and no, I really not. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I used to be very depressed. I used to drive around, and all my friends were working. I didn't have a job. I'd bounce around all over the place. I trained some clients here and there. I've had more jobs than anyone in the world. You have no idea. I've worked everywhere, but no, it wasn't. And then just one day it just hit me, and I was like, I could just do this on my own, and no one's going to stop me. I'm just like, no one's built like me. Like and it's funny because like I've heard people like say things about me over the years as I was younger. Like I've been to interviews, and I'll never forget one interview that really changed everything for me. I went in an interview with this company. It was an insurance company in Brooklyn. I'll never forget. I drove, and the Brooklyn's not around the block, but I drove there. It was like about an hour and a half drive. I was in tons of traffic. And I sat down with this guy. He was like the senior VP. He was a high position. And I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, dude, I'm so sorry. And I'm stepping out of my professionalism here, but you got to get the fuck out of here. You don't belong here. Excuse my language. He said, you don't belong here. You are a rock star. Like, I am so honored to be sitting here with you. And I'm like listening to this guy. I'm like, what the hell is this guy saying to me? He's like, I've been in this business for over 35 years and I've never spoke with anyone like you. You are special and you should not work here. So I'm not hiring you. You got to figure out what the calling is, but I'm just telling you, you're very special. And I left there and I really never it never really sunk in. Like I was just like, this guy's a weirdo. And I remember calling a friend at the time and I was, cause he knew I was going on a job interview. And he's just like, what? And I was like, that's what I was like, I was so weird. But like, then I started thinking about other things I would do. Like I always had to be first. Everything I did, I had to be first. Like if I was running to be out to recess for lunch, I had to be first. If I was going to eat, I had to be first. If I'm working out, I had to be first. Like everything with me is number one. Like that's how I think. I just think like that. I just have this mindset of this. I'm just better than everybody else. Now that's not being arrogant. I'm just being very confident. And I'm just telling you, you should think the same way. But like, as I think back over the years, there are so many things that are so clear to me and so vivid that I say, wow, like I've always had it, right? But I've also went through a lot of trauma, and I do contribute that trauma to my resiliency and the pain and challenges being young and going through that trauma, because that really made me who I am. Now, am I saying everyone has to do that to be successful? No. But this is why I talk about fitness so much, and I talk about suffering every day, and I talk about putting yourself in very uncomfortable situations. Like, I put a post out this morning. Everything I did this morning, I didn't even want to do. I hated it. First thing I do when I wake up, when I wrote that book, I used to do my ice bath after my workout. Now it's the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up at 3:29. Literally the first thing I do is I jump in that 27-degree ice bath. It's the most uncomfortable thing in the world. I hate it. I'm scared of it every single day. Then I come out and actually warm up. I wash up, brush my teeth, do my thing. I eat something. Then I go work out. Then I don't want to work out. I was exhausted. I'd rather sleep in. This is at the crack of dawn. Then I came back and I sat in a 200-degree sauna, which I didn't want to do. Pretty much the majority of my morning was nothing I wanted to do. I was just exhausted. I didn't want to do it. But you got to do things you don't want to do, and you got to act like you love it, because it's about discipline. Motivation will get you to the front door, and it's never going to go anywhere past that. But that's the same thing with business, right? Like when someone quits on a Monday and doesn't give you 2 weeks and says, go after yourself, who the hell cares? You put yourself through the pain already, right? When you take your company through a pandemic and you don't furlough or lay off anyone when everyone told you to do that, and you refused to do it, and you suffered with all the pain, but you didn't want to hurt any of your team members' salaries and supporting their families. Come on. You think someone quitting on a Monday morning is going to really affect you? That's like a joke. But that's why you have to put yourself through that, because it makes things easier, because business is very, very hard. And trust me when I tell you, it's 700,000 times harder than you think it's going to be.
I can't deny that. And I think that some people have this illusion that I start a business and I have massive freedom, no boss, and kind of come and go. And as you know, the business will dictate when it needs you. And it's never going to need you at the most convenient time. That person's going to quit on the Monday morning with no notice when it's the last moment that you actually want that person to quit because of whatever's happening. And that's the way the business rolls. So I appreciate you being so blunt there. Hey everyone, as you know, I don't have any advertisements nor sponsorships on this podcast. My only ask of you, the listener, is that you share this podcast with someone that you know, a friend, a family member, a coworker, or a colleague who may benefit from this information, may benefit from today's guest, from the value that they're sharing with the audience, with you, the listener. When you share this podcast and our audience grows, it allows me to book more and more guests who have a great message, great nuggets of wisdom that you can benefit from. And again, your network can benefit from. So please, right now, push that share button, send it to somebody that you care about, and let's get back to the interview. What would you say, if I had to ask you two-sided question here, what was, and I would say your grit is already coming to front of mind, but what was your biggest success building your business, and why? And then of course, what was your biggest misstep? And if you had a redo, what would you do over?
Man, I made so many mistakes. Oh my God. And honestly, I wouldn't change anything on the mistake side, because, make a mistake once, it's good. You learn from it. Make a mistake again, the same mistake, you're an idiot, and you should have learned the first time. So I wouldn't change that, because those are probably the best. I always say I always win. Even when I lose, I win. I'm always winning, because your losses are lessons, right? And, some of the biggest mistakes I made in my life, if someone were to tell me not to do that, it's very different than actually screwing up and losing $100,000 or paying $20,000 and you lose that money. So it has to hurt to make an impact. I wouldn't change that. But my greatest success, I don't know. I love when people tell me I can't do something. Like, it just jacks me up. Like, I can't tell you how many people have told me I would fail miserably, how many people laughed in my face. I created a holiday after a billionaire that told me my business was like Swiss cheese. It's got too many holes in it. You'll never succeed. That's August 1st. Every August 1st, I celebrate National Swiss Cheese Day. I could sit here for hours telling you about all the people who told me I would never make it. And like, who's laughing now? Who's laughing now? Yeah. I'm in my building and I stare out the window, and it's crazy. It took 15 years to have windows. And I bought this building a year ago. It's an 18,000 square foot building. It's our world headquarters. And I just remember from being in my parents' dining room, and, I remember walking to the bank and having more negatives in my bank account. And I remember everyone, I just know when I would leave, they'd always talk about me. And I just always repeat in my head, one day it's not going to be like this. One day it's not going to be like this. One day it's not going to be like this. And eventually it happens, but you got to be patient. You got to really be patient with results and impatient with action. But really, if I had to really dive deep into something that's been a success, it's the people we help. Like, I could tell you stories of mothers and fathers and families who call me crying that we help their parents, or, we give them more life, 5 more years, or, their autistic child, we changed their life, or someone lost 100 pounds. Like, that's why I always say it's great to make a living. It's better to make a difference, and when I got into this, I'm not going to lie, I'm always real, but like, I was like, I'm just gonna make a lot of money. I'm gonna make a lot of money. I'm gonna make a lot of money.
Sure.
But your purpose changes, and you start to mature more as not just an individual, but as a business owner. and you start to really see a clear vision and clear purpose of what you want to do. And for me, it's like, look at the majority of the world we live in, right? Like people are unhealthy, they don't take care of themselves, and we're able to help them, reach their fitness goals. And that just, that rocks my world. I love that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You said something just a second ago about it has to hurt for you to, you said either pay attention or to learn. I couldn't agree more. Like again, on this podcast, I had the a guy who played with Michael Jordan at Chapel Hill and then went back to coach Chapel Hill. And he talked about, pain is the greatest teacher. And we kind of laughed and said, it's the only teacher. It's really the only, because if there's no pain, there's no lesson, because there's nothing to think about or to reflect on. It's when you have that pain that you stop in your tracks. Okay, what did I just do? I should not do that again. I should not do that again. And without that pain, you don't have the lesson. But so many people, especially today, let's be honest, Josh, today, people don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to step out of their comfort zone. They're being encouraged not to. They're literally being encouraged not to.
Yep. Soft.
And how do you manage your, I guess it's hiring the right team, I'm sure. How do you manage your extended team, your extended network, knowing that those are the pressures of the world?
There's no one like that in my circle. That's it. My team is as strong as it gets. Just doesn't happen. Like you're not coming on board if you're weak and you don't want to elevate. Like, now let me clarify that. If someone wants to change their life and make an impact, and maybe they need to work on themselves, so they come on board. Like, I'm all for that, right? I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Like, you have a choice. You have a choice. Do I love cookies and brownies? Hell yeah. Do I eat them almost every week? Absolutely. But you know what? It's called the 80-20 rule. People think your life has to change and you have to all of a sudden be healthy. Healthy can be very delicious, but you could still enjoy your life. I still love to eat cheesecake. I still love to have ice cream. I enjoy myself. I love dessert. I don't starve myself and take that away from myself. But I also exercise and I do things regularly. It's like you brush your teeth twice a day, right? 3 times a day. I hope so. What happens if you stop brushing your teeth? Well, the same thing happens to your body if you don't take care of it. So like at the end of the day, I'm not surrounding myself with those type of people. Negativity does not live in my world. I don't really have any friends. Many people want to be friends. I'm not, it's not, there's very few people in my circle, and I like it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you wrote this book, and this book's a few years old, but when you wrote this and you finished it and you set it down, what was your hope and goal for people to take away from Fuel?
Honestly, I just want people to really understand, like, a lot of people, especially with social media, like to paint this like fake image of what like success looks like. And, 99% of everything is BS. Like people rent homes and rent cars and just do all types of, it's like, it's crazy to me, but I wanted to really kind of paint the picture and then get some insight to what it really has taken to get to, where I am today. Look, at the end of the day, like I was killing myself, and I still kill myself every day, but I mean like physical labor, killing myself for 8 years, like 15, 16 hours a day, every single day. Like I never stopped. I've never taken a sick day in my life. I don't even believe in sickness. Don't even believe in it. If I get sick, which is very, very rare, knock on wood, I do not, I wake up the same time. You'll never catch me in bed. That's just not me. Doesn't happen.
You're like Goggins right now. You're channeling Goggins. I love it.
Listen, I don't know. So Goggins, but Goggins channels me. Okay. There's only one.
Oh, there we go.
All right. So there's only one me.
I love it, Josh. One of one, right? One of one. All right, brother. I always ask people on this show, because they know I'm a big reader. I love biographies, business biographies, love, business books, self-improvement. Is there a book that you could recommend to the listeners that you read it, and you can't choose your own book? That's not fair. But you read it and you finished it, you set it down, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do something different based on this book. This one was critical.
The greatest book of all time is Shoe Dog, the story of Nike. Greatest book ever. Hands down.
Yep. That's an outstanding read. And what did you love about it?
Everything. It just shows you like what it really takes, right? Like, and I relate to it so much because I created a new category just like he did, right? That's what Phil did. Phil lived more than half his life in the most severe debt you can ever imagine. He has the balls the same size as me, bigger than church bells, right? And that's what it takes to be successful. Like, you can't be scared. If you think you get into the other side of the fence without pushing through fear, it will never, ever, ever happen. Ever. That's a fact.
Yep.
You got to be a risk taker. That's it. And, I've done some of the craziest things over the years, man. I've done things that are just, some people would probably pass out even if I told them half the things I've done. They wouldn't even be able to stomach the things I've done. And I don't lose a sleep at night. I don't lose any sleep at night. Nothing. Zero. I sleep like a baby every single night.
Well, share something that, like right there, you said some of the things you've had to do. Like, what have you had to do that people don't understand that you have to do to make it?
I put my house up as collateral in 2015. Yeah, by 2015 for $1.4 million. I didn't have enough money to have an attorney review the agreement. I just said, whatever, who cares? I'll figure it out. I'm not worried about it. Didn't even read through it. Really, I literally didn't even read through it. Now, someone might say that's stupid, but I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. It's fine. I need the money. I only needed really $500. So the other amount I would just pay every month, the loan. And then when it comes time, I'll just figure it out. Defaulted on that for 6 months. They were about to take my house, do everything. And, I didn't break a sweat. Still didn't lose an ounce of sleep. Long story short, I paid them off because everything always works out. There's always a way. There's always, always a way. But, I've been at casinos trying to put my life savings on red. Obviously, our color's red just to make payroll. I have...
Is that a true story?
Yeah, that's a true story, man. That's a true story.
Wow.
I've taken out hard money at like 30% interest. I've done so many crazy things. You have no idea. I have done the craziest things over the years to get to where we are. At one point, I had like 22 credit cards maxed out. Every single one was completely maxed out. My credit score was like in like the low 500s. Now my credit score is almost 850. It's perfect. But you got to be willing to go through that pain, man. Like, there is a period of pain that's involved. And, my grandfather always said this, and it always sticks with me. This too shall pass. That applies to success, and that applies to failure. You're winning, losing's coming around the corner. You're losing, winning's coming around the corner. You can't be winning all the time. It just doesn't work like that. Okay, so you got to be prepared for it because the storm is coming. And just like, I don't know where you're based, but I'm here in New York. It's getting cold, right? The winter's here. Well, winter's going to pass, and then spring's coming. Flowers are blooming, beautiful weather. Summer's here. It's great. When fall comes and winter comes again. Yeah. That's how it goes. That's it.
Just keep playing the game. Just don't quit. Keep playing the game. Yeah. So I always like to finish with a couple questions. They're a little different, but I can't wait to hear your answers on these. So first one is, you live this long, beautiful life, which you're going to, and you're already filling it up with your success and what you're doing. But you live this long life. Finally, we're at your funeral and you're looking down from above, and a loved one is reading your eulogy, and they choose 3 words, 3 different maybe descriptors or whatever to describe you. If you had your druthers, what 3 words would you hope that person says about Josh?
I wouldn't hope. I would know what they would say. They would say, my energy is contagious. I am very kind and warm-hearted, and I'll do anything for the people I love.
Great answer. And then last, if you had if I were to give you a magic wand right now, you can wave this magic wand and you make you're allowed to make one material change to the world. And when we wake up tomorrow, the world is different according to Josh. How?
We'd have stronger leaders in this world. Everyone's too soft. Everyone's soft. It's a big problem. It's a very big problem. People, listen, I'm not getting into politics. I don't give a crap about any of that stuff, okay? I don't care who you vote for. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I can care about that. But people think like the government's coming to save you. People think the president's going to save you. People think like no one is coming to save you. No one. The only one who can save yourself is you. So we need more leaders. We need stronger leaders in this world. That would fix everything. But I'm sorry, when I see like a chart of a nutritional diagram and it says that, Lucky Charms are healthier than ground beef or some crazy crap like that. Does that make any sense? That makes no sense whatsoever. You should be a better leader. Someone asked me advice last week. They sent me a message on Instagram and they said they're having problems with their children and they don't listen to them and it's very hard and it's very depressing. And I go look at this person's Instagram and I'm just scrolling through and I'm just shaking my head as I'm looking. I'm like, geez, oh yeah. I'm just looking. I'm like, this is crazy. And I said, you know what? Listen, I need to be very honest with you. Would you listen to yourself? Took the person almost like 6-7 hours to answer me. And I said, I needed to hear that. Thank you so much. I know I will get a message from that person in a couple of months when they change their life. But you know what? Like, it all starts with you. Everything funnels down from you. If you're not leading and being a good leader, no one else is going to follow you. If you're trying to be a great parent and you're not leading by example, your kids are not going to follow you. If you exercise, your kids exercise. If you eat healthy, your kids eat health. This is not rocket science. It's very, very simple, but it starts with you. And people need to stop thinking that someone's coming to save them. Listen, I don't care who the hell's the president. I'm going to win no matter what. Doesn't matter. No one's stopping me. And that is what I would hope for.
Mic drop. Josh, where, as the listeners finish this podcast, we finish it, where can the listeners find you? Where can they follow you or connect with you?
The best place, you go on Google and type in handsome. I come up right away.
That's the best answer I've ever heard. That's awesome.
Number one, no, you just type in Josh York. You find me on Instagram, Josh York GG, LinkedIn, Josh York, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff, Josh York. And if you're interested in learning more about the business, GYMGUYZ.com.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing and one, just the unfiltered approach. So appreciative and so refreshing. Yeah. Love it. Just love it.
My pleasure.
So appreciate having you on here, man.
Thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to the ThriveMore podcast. Don't forget to take a look at the show notes for any of the resources that we mentioned during the podcast. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you have access to the latest and the greatest. You can connect with me on any of the socials at Real Roger Martin. And be sure to check out our website, ThriveMoreBrands.com. There you'll find information on the brands we support and information on franchising. Thanks again for tuning in.